Hey there booktubers, I'm back with another video and I have a review for you guys. Basically it's going to be a part discussion, part review video, and what sparked my interest in doing a discussion video was when I was researching a little bit more about the book that I'm going to be talking about, and the book that I'm going to be talking about is Beasts of No Nation. And this is by Uzodinma Iweala. He's basically a Nigerian author. Actually, he was born in America. He had a Harvard education. His parents are Nigerian, but they're pretty well off. And that's going to be a pretty interesting thing about this book and talking about this book in my discussion. But before I get ahead of myself, I'm just going to briefly tell you guys about this book and what my thoughts are. This is the author's very first novel, and he's gotten quite a lot of buzz for writing this book. It's basically about a young boy named Agu who lives in an unnamed West African country, and basically he gets recruited into a unit of guerrilla fighters, and they are fighting against a civil war that has erupted in this unnamed country. Now, the interesting thing about this novel is that it is written in present tense, and the language of this is very, very different compared to typical novels. It reminds me a lot of the book Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, and that particular novel has a similar sort of writing style to it. So the language of this book is definitely different, and that was probably one of the issues that I had with it. Not particularly an issue, a struggle that I had with it when I first started reading it. It's quite difficult to get into. There's a lot of repetitiveness in certain words. Then you kind of get used to the writing style, and as it progresses, and it sort of has some sort of rhythmic flow to it. Further on into the book, it starts sounding quite beautiful. There are a lot of really stunning sentences in this book. The character itself, Agu, he is possibly around 10 or 11 years old. He has been slightly educated, which means he was educated but wasn't able to complete his education. So you basically notice that in the way he speaks. He can speak pretty well. However, you notice that there are errors in the way he talks and uses of words and tenses, and when he describes things he uses a lot of like in his dialogue. So that's probably the most important and the most profound thing about this novel, and is actually the thing that has gotten a lot of acclaim from this book. The author has been praised a lot for his use of language in this, and I see why it has become sort of a really popular among the critics circle and the literature circle. In terms of plotline, the progression between the plotline is very, very slow. He gets recruited into the unit. He does things that he's not exactly happy about. He kills people. It's basically a coming of age and a loss of innocence story, and it's appalling, and it's very deep, and it's very moving, and you're gutted because the character is going through so much pain and he can't really do anything because he's so young and he can't escape the situation that he is in. And although the novel doesn't progress so much, there isn't really a climax or much of a liftoff. It stays in a pretty steady pace, and then the ending is kind of a letdown, kind of not, depending on how you view things. In my opinion, it was a pretty okay ending. The ending was quite sad, and it was like Agu had lost all his sense of humanity. Very emotional, and it's a very different and unique novel in a sense that the way it's written is something new. It's almost very realistic, and you can kind of see a sort of character like this in real life. Now, the discussion that I wanted to talk to you guys about is basically it stemmed from this novel, but then it got me thinking about other books. The author got a lot of flack for this novel. A lot of people are questioning whether or not he had the right to write a book like this, especially since he was brought up as a middle-class American who got an Ivy League education. And here he is writing about a child soldier in Africa. The people that are critiquing him about these are generally they're African individuals who are part of institutions that try to help child soldiers or have gone through similar situations, and they feel he doesn't have the right to speak for them, that they want their own individual voice. This story isn't an authentic novel because, again, he's never been through that situation. Now, I read that the author did go to Nigeria and some other African countries and did a lot of research on situations and the civil conflict that is going on down there. So he gathered all that information, and from what that he was able to put together this novel. In my opinion, it's kind of up in the air. For me, I don't think an individual should be judged, specifically an author should be judged for writing a novel just because he doesn't have similar experiences. Because of that, he is claimed to be unauthentic because, you know, he's not a child soldier, or he never was a child soldier, and that got me thinking a lot about other books and other authors who write things about experiences that they never experienced, and it's kind of unfair. Other authors write about rape or child prostitution, poverty when they haven't gone through it. Doesn't mean that the book that they're writing isn't a good book or that it isn't a realistic portrayal. Does experience really matter? I mean, one of the things that a lot of people say when you're writing something, write about what you know. So basically write about your own experiences because that's what's going to make it sound more real. But what if, yeah, you've never experienced being a child soldier, you've never experienced being raped? When you write about that, doesn't mean there's no substance to your writing. I really enjoyed this book. As much as I did have difficulty getting through it because of the language, I think it is a very important novel because it is so deep. It really felt real to me, and again, some people felt cheated because he's never gone through that. So this book took me a lot of struggle to try to figure out for you guys, and this video took a lot of pondering, and I'm not really exactly sure how to do discussion videos in a proper manner, so I hope you guys feel that this has been somewhat informative, and if you can sort of discuss and let me know what you guys feel about this. So essentially, is it okay for authors to write from experiences that they've never had? I think it is. I don't think authors should get flack for that. If a guy wants to write about child soldiers, let him write about child soldiers. That doesn't mean what he's writing isn't good or that it isn't authentic. Like, authenticity is such a cliche thing. Who cares if you're not authentic? If you're writing about what you want and what you feel, then I don't know. It's still a good book. I mean, how much are you gonna judge a book? The writing, the story is what really matters, and if you don't feel a connection with the novel or if you don't feel a connection with the story, then that's one thing. But if you're judging the connection that you're having with the story and feeling that you've been cheated because the author hasn't gone through that experience, then I don't know. Interesting discussion. I know it's kind of all over the place. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying, and I hope you guys... I wrote things down in my little book here, all organized neatly with points, but I didn't follow it, so I hope I was still able to get my point across. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know about your comments down below. So comment, rate, and subscribe. Ta-ta!